Hey John, how you doing? Can you see and hear me? I guess you can. Okay, what I want to do tonight, just journey off a little bit into Gary Shafee's patterns, time functions. And what I want to show everybody is the importance of learning how to read. You know, a lot of guys play by ear, which is good. Hey William, how you doing? I just got your email. I'll give you a call, or call me rather, say about 8 o'clock, 8:30. Is that be okay? Alright, so tonight what we're going to do, I'm going to take a few patterns from the Shafee book. Now, you don't need to have the book. It'd be nice if you did. Okay? So, I just would like to show you what the importance of reading is. Now, unlike me, you know, I do a lot of writing myself, and I write everything out. But the way Gary Shafee has this in here, it's a magnificent book. It really is. And there's a lot of great information in here. But if you don't know how to read, it's not going to do you no good at all. Okay, so what we're going to do, and we're going to do this starting Monday, don't forget, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. in the reading room. If you're not a member of the reading room, please request membership and I'll let you in. Not a problem. Now there's a lot of terms that you should know. Now I refer to this particular pattern what I call the money beat, because most drummers, when they're playing a tune, they're not funky or just a commercialized tune in some sort of bar atmosphere or a cover tune atmosphere. What they're playing is this. Very simple pattern. 1, 2, 3. Now, I refer to that, like I said, as the money beat. Now, Gary Shafee puts all kinds of bass drum combinations against these patterns. I refer to them as ostinato patterns with a backbeat on 2 and 4. And he maneuvers your bass drum, gives you an opportunity to feel the bass drum, understand where the bass drum is falling. So the terms that we're going to use is the grid. And we're going to use the stick control book as well. But the grid means to move over one or permutate. The term permutate means to move over one as well. So for example, if I play my bass drum on a count of 1 and 3, I'm going to count in sixteenths. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and now I'm going to play the grid or permutate that bass drum. That bass drum now is going to move over to the E of 1 and the E of 3. So we have 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and you understand what I'm talking about so far? So now we move over to bass drum one more. So we're going to move it over to the and of 1 and the and of 3. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Then again, over to the da of 1 and the da of 3. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and E and the 2, E and the 3, E and the 4, E and the. Now, am I going too fast? Am I not really getting into explaining it correctly, or so you understand it? If you want me to go backwards a little bit, that was called a grid, or we were permutating the bass drum. We were thinking in 16th note count. 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 E and the 4 E and the. Got it? What do you mean you can't hear me? Everything is up. My volume is up. The drums are up. Turn up. Just hey John, reload your computer. Okay, well, just turn up the volume on your computer. Check it out. Or reload it. Okay, that's all you have to do once in a while. The computers are just funny, man. They do you set all the settings correctly, but sometimes they just want to do what they want to do. But anyway, with that being said, I'm showing you how to maneuver the bass drum in a grid or permutated formation. And we're going to play the money beat. Now when I play the money beat, I'm going to play eighth notes with my right hand, and I'm going to play with my left hand 2 and 4 on the snare drum. But notice how I'm playing my right hand. A lot of guys, the rock drummers or whatever, not the funk drummers, but a lot of drummers play like this. I watch a lot of people, and I think that's not musical whatsoever. I like to give it sort of a pocket or sort of a groove. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to look mechanical. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So now what I did was I pronounced the 1 and lightened up the ands. So I maintain that sound. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Now I'm going to play that constantly. And I'm going to add a backbeat on the count of 2 and the count of 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 and. Now I'm going to play the foot. The first movement with the bass drum is on the count of 1 and 3. So I'm going to play that constant, and now I'm going to add the bass drum on the count of 1 and 3. 1. Simple. 3 and 4. Now you more than likely can hear that kind of pattern. It's a very simple money beat pattern. But now I'm breaking it down to make sure that you understand what is occurring. My volume's okay, correct? My voice? So what I have now is just on the 1 and 3. If I took it up tempo a little bit, you have to be careful of is do not have any one particular voice dominate another voice. What actually the dominant voice here would be the bass drum. See, if I go like this, that doesn't sound musical at all. So I'm giving this. So I'm going to do it slower. 1 E and the simple. A very simple pattern. 1 E and the 2 E and 3 E and the 4. Up tempo a little bit. Hear that sound? That's down, up, down, up. That's a stick control book exercise. Next one. I'm going to move the bass drum over now again. On the E of 1 and the E of 3. Wait, have you following so far? Now on the E of 1 and the E of 3, 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 E and 2 and. That doesn't sound like anything there, but I'm putting everything in place and I'm controlling what I do. So what I'm doing now is 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Put a little bit of a bite on that. Now I'm going to move the bass drum over again to the and of 1 and the and of 3. And again, I'm not having that bass drum control my left hand, nor am I having to control my right hand. I'm making all one unit. I'm on the and. 1 E and the 3 E and. 1 E and the 2 and 3 E and the 4. Then the da of 1 and then the da of 3. Okay, so now the da, 1 E and a 2 E and 3 E and a 4 and 1 E and a 2 and 3 E and a 4 and. Now I try to make it as musical sounding as possible without any music. Okay? So now, let's play them together. Let's string them together, loop them together, so to speak. So what we're going to do is we're going to play a couple measures with 1 and 3, then to the E, and then to the and then to the da, and I'm going to mix it up a little bit. 3, 4, 3. That's what happens. That's the end result. But the object here is to do it slow and say hello to your voices that you're playing. Make sure you can control them. That's how you get your sound. Okay, so that's a simple pattern. And Gary Shafee has them all written out, all the variations of the patterns that he uses, and then some. Now, if you do not know how to read, you can have a problem with it. Great book, and you're losing out on it. You know, when I say I'm going to do reading in the reading room on Mondays and Fridays, there's a reason for that. You know, you have all these methodology books out there. Some great information, and there's some not so great information, but that's another world. If you know how to read, you could open up the book and start doing the exercises because you know how to read the notation, what a key is, what a dotted eighth note is, so on and so forth. That's the objective. Now, I could take you to reading as far as, you know, going cold tonight on a Broadway show, opening up the book and playing it. But how many guys were going to be able to do that, or are going to be in that situation? But I can take you there. I want to teach the basic foundation of reading rhythms and understanding the language. That's the object. Now, let's take that same, let's change the pattern. The term ostinato, does anybody know what that means that's viewing this? The term ostinato. No response? Well, what I just did with my right hand and my left hand, I played the eighth notes and played 2 and 4. 1, 3, 4. That's a pattern that I'm using. I'm not breaking. I'm continually playing that. And that's what an ostinato is. A pattern which repeats itself over and over and over and over again. Now, I'm sure that you've heard, to repeat over and over again, constant. You know, the tune Take 5, that's predicated upon the ostinato. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That goes on and on and on. The same thing with The Drums Also Waltz by Max Rhodes. Boom, ching. 1, 2, that's an ostinato. 1, 2, 3. That's an ostinato pattern. So, how you doing, Fred? Yeah, it is. It's a repeat. It's a pattern I'm playing over and over again. That's an ostinato. 1, 2, 3. But I'm going to change my bass drum. I'm going to play against it. 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, so on and so forth. So I played that ostinato on top, and I played my bass drum against it. So I want to, you know, I could do that. I'm going to show you how to do foot patterns as well with the stick control book, but that's a later date, okay? And that's going to come through the reading room. All right, now, for example, let's take another ostinato pattern. You know, you sit there on a drum pad or your snare drum, and you're playing the hell out of a paradiddle. Say, what is a paradiddle for? All? Because I want to play it the fastest in the world. Well, I guess that's cool, but what's the sense? What can you do with a paradiddle? There's all kinds of things we can do. So what I refer to this next pattern, and it's called a paradiddle ostinato. I'm going to take the same paradiddle, and I'm going to change voices. I'm going to distribute equally the voices with my right hand and with my left hand. So I'm going to take my right hand and play it on the hi-hat, my left hand on the snare drum. I'll slow that down. I'm thinking of the paradiddle in 16th note formation as 1, E, and 2, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and. So that's an ostinato pattern I'm going to play over and over again. I like to do it slow because that gives me a chance to understand my voices. If I'm messing up and I want to play a little heavier of a backbeat, then I can. If I want to lighten it up, or is my right hand consistent on the hi-hat? Now the same thing is going to happen here with the bass drum. We're thinking 16ths, 1 ienda, 2 ienda, 3 ienda, 4 ienda. Okay? Now, we're going to play the bass drum, we're going to use the grid on 1 and 3, on the E of 1, the E of 3, the and of 1, the and of 3, the da of 1, and the da of 3. Now you need to be careful here. Remember, the first one was easy. That was just the money beat. Now it's not that this is complicated, but there's a little bit more involved with the voices. I get a lot of guys that can't free that bass drum up from the hi-hat or the snare. For example, if I'm playing the first one on 1 and 3, bass drum. Simple. Now my voices are consistent. My right hand is consistent, my left hand is consistent. I'm smacking the 2 and 4, and that bass drum is 1 and 3. Now here's where, okay, it's not that it's complicated, you need to be careful. So, what you need to do here is this. We're going to play now the bass drum on the E of 1 and the E of 3. And the majority of students that I teach this to, or drummers that I know, when they play this, they've all had the same problem because they tried to play it too fast. When I come to the E, 1, now my left hand is almost like a ghost note, but my bass drum I want to explode. 1. So what happens now is when they hit the E, here's what they get. They get 1. They destroy the sound of the left hand. So you need to do it slow. 1. And these are very simple patterns. But you see the control you need to obtain with that bass drum and how it's associated with that left hand and the right hand to make it musical. We're not grooving, but we're in a tempo, yeah. And you know, I'm trying to make it as swinging as possible or as grooving as possible. But you know, it's like this. It's got to be one. Notice that bass drum did not dictate to me the volume of that left hand when I hit it together. And now the same thing is going to apply to the and of 1 and to the and of 3. See that? Okay. Now we go to the da. The da of 1 and the da of 3. And I'm going to do it slow. 1, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and 1, E, and 3, E, and 4, E, and Now, I'm not trying to prove anything to no one. I'm just bringing it out so, you know, you could be aware of it when you practice. It's not about speed, it's how nice you can make that sound and how nice you can make it feel. And the only way you can make it sound nice and feel nice is you controlling it. It's simple. So the slower you do it, and it's actually harder to do it slow because you need more control. And by you doing it slow, you're reinforcing the control and you're getting stronger. You know, nobody's saying this has to be played at 120. You know, we're not superstars here. We're on the same journey, but in different places, yes. But we're on the same journey to learn as much as possible and to become better. It's simple. Now, I'm giving out this information. If it works for you, fine. If it doesn't work for you, that's fine too. Not a problem. Okay. So that takes care of the power, did the lost and us too. I'm going to do one more, then I'm going to do other things. I want to do a longer lesson tonight because I'm in the mood, as long as my coffee stays hot. So far we did the 8th note. I'm giving you simplicity, actually. The 8th note pattern is the factor. How you doing, Robert? So, what we're going to do next, we're going to take a different ostinato, and it's a very commonplace. 2/16 and an 1/8. 1 E, 2 E, 3 E, 4 E. But I'm actually, if you're going to begin this, and this is the first time that you're playing this, I would actually slow it way down. Like, notice the level with that right hand on the hi-hat. 1 E, and the 2 E, and the 3 E, and the 4 E, and the. I'm really pronouncing that and on the hi-hat. And now I want to play the 2 and 4. 1 E, and the 2 E, and the 3 E, and the 4 E, and the. Not a problem. Notice how my voice is blended in. Are you understanding what I'm talking about? I need some response in the comment section here. Do we all understand what I mean by the balance of your voices? That's where the musicianship comes in, and it's very musical. Do we all understand that? I just need a response, yes or no, or if not, then I'll do it again in another way. Hey Dave, how you doing? No fooling around tonight. Do we all understand it? Okay, William, good for you. So I want to do that. All right, Bob understands it. How about you, John? Good. Who else is in here? Whoever else is in here, please step up to the mic. Freddie, you there? All right, let's go to that one ostinato I'm talking about. 1 E, see it? So I'm going to do it slow. The movement with the right hand is 1 E, it's an upstroke, and a downstroke. So I get that push. Got it? Now, again, I'm going to use the grid. This is the actual entry point to all these patterns. All right, but it gets really complicated up the road here. But let's stay as simple as we can to understand the movement. Okay, so now we have this 1 E N, 2 E N, 3 E N, 4 E N. Notice the right hand. It's down, tap, up, down, tap, up. I'm getting two different sounds out of that hi-hat. Two taps and an accent. That and is pushing it. 1 E N. Now let's drop the 1 and 3. Now, you know, a lot of guys get bored if they have to play that particular pattern for a minute or two. Now, again, the term fills. I hate that term. To me, there's no such thing as fills. It's lead-ins. You're leading it into the melody or part of the melody or the band. You're taking them in. And yeah, you're putting something in there. And I guess, you know, if you say you're filling in the blank, but you're not. You're leading them into whatever part of the tune it is. You know, a lot of guys, you know, these online instructors, there's 5 fills every drummer should know. What is that, 5 fills? You have a pocket full of fills that when you go on a gig, you take them out of your pocket. So let me use this one, let me use that one. It don't work that way, man. What works is when you're playing the music, you're hearing the music, you're going to feel the music, and you're going to play what sounds good to you at that moment. Example, I could play a tune tonight, all right? You go see me at a gig, and you hear me play a tune. You come back the second night, and I play that same tune. Yeah, the whole premise of the tune is the same, but I'm not. I'm hearing different things because I'm playing it. I am not restricting myself to be a robot inside of a tune. I do enough being a robot when I practice. When I play, I want to play, and I want to sound musical, and I want to have a conversation with the tune and the musicians that I'm playing with. That's what makes you cook. That's what makes you swing. All right? It's like, yeah, man, this guy can groove. Well, yeah, he could probably, but he didn't learn that from any kind of instructor. He learned that through his technique and through listening to the tune and how he hears the tune and how he feels the tune. That cannot be taught. Simple. Now let's get back. I'm sorry, I go on a tangent. Let's go to the 1 EN. 1 and 3. 1 EN. Consistent voices. Now we go to the E. 2 EN, 3 EN, 4 EN. Then to the N and then to the dust. You know, it's just a beautiful thing. It takes a lot of hard work, a long time, and a lot of practice. I just want to hit up on those 3 patterns. Now, I do have another room called the Gary Shafee room, or the patterns, or whatever. And occasionally I will be doing a live lesson from there. You see, what happens, I don't know why Facebook does this, but if I go live on Facebook, it comes up on my page. However, if I want to share this, and if I share it to the reading room, like Monday, you'd have to go to the reading room and see me live and ask questions. But you can see me here on my page, but you can't ask questions. I won't respond because it's a different page. So occasionally I will do the Gary Shafee book inside of the Shafee Patterns site. I also I have the New Breed, and I will be taking a couple lessons there, and you know, so on and so forth. You know, I only have so many hours in a day, and I constantly sit in this drum studio. Sometimes I just need to get away. But that's what I'm trying to do. I'm on a mission, man, is to, all these phony ass bastards that are out there, and they are phony. I'm sorry, but I'll stick with that. All they think of is doing drum lessons for money. Which, hey, you need to make a living. Yeah, you need to make a few dollars so you can survive. But 5,000 of my students, give me a break. Please. Everybody wants to teach you how to play. They're better. They're going to get faster singles. But they don't explain what occurs with the drumstick or with your muscles. They don't explain how to break it down and what is occurring. Like, you guys know a paradiddle. Big deal. Now what are you going to do with a paradiddle other than the fact I just showed you an ostinato pattern? There's so much that can be done with a paradiddle. I have this series of exercises called, I refer to it as turnarounds. And this is about maneuvering around a drum set or switching hands effortlessly. Now, most guys here will play single strokes, 16th notes. And they start off with their right hand. Now if I say, okay, play one measure of that, starting off with your right hand. And the second measure, alternate the measures, okay, with the left hand, start. So something happens here. So I have 1 E and the 2 E and the 3 and the 4 E and God. But I stop with my left hand. That's not a turnaround. It's 1 E and the 2 E and the, now paradiddle, 4 E and the, now I'm in position to attack with the left. And back to the right. You see that? Well, John, you got to participate. Now, Tom is in here, and we're going to discuss Skype lessons tonight. You should take a couple. It'll help you out. And all of this will make a whole lot of sense. But you see the turnarounds? So I come up with a formula which is in the stick control book formula. Okay? So what I did was I made right become single strokes, starting with the right hand. And then with the left hand, it's starting with the left hand. So if R equals 4/16 with the right hand, I want to do, say, and that equals R, I go to line 3, right, right, left, left. I'm referencing off of that. So I have this. Now play a paradiddle, I'm ready to go with my left. Now right, 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 left, left, right, left. You can't hear nothing, no changes there. Do we all understand what I'm doing with the turnaround? That applies to maneuvering around the drum set. Okay? Same, that's what you do use a paradiddle for. It's to make the change, the turnaround, smooth. I mean, it's not the only thing, but that is the primary thing. For example, let's say if I want to go from my floor tom-tom to the snare drum, using that method, I'm going to start with my right. Got this paradiddle. Paradiddle again. You see where it goes? Now I'm too tired right now to blow my brains out. But I'm in the process of populating my site, patellalivelessons.com, and I'm going to do instructional videos that will be for sale, and they can come with a PDF. There's a lot I'm working on. I'm working on too much, I think, and nothing really gets done. But do you understand that? the paradiddle, turn around. You can take any line of the stick control book and orchestrate it like that to maneuver around the drum set. You know, maneuvering clockwise, maneuvering counterclockwise. There's a lot involved. And there's a lot of information, you know, you need. You know, you need to know math, you need to know counting systems, and you need to learn the language. It's as simple as that. And it's a lot easier. By the way, I do drum camps here maybe 4 times a year. They're Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay? And I have guys coming from all over the country here. From Virginia, from Canada, from California, from Texas, from Michigan, from Detroit. You know, all of that good stuff. And they spend Friday, Saturday, and Sunday here, but they don't sleep here. They get themselves a room. What they do is they come at 12 o'clock and I let them go at 6. And now because of the the virus, you know, I can't jump in the car and go to the city and hang out with Mike Clark or, you know, whoever else, Lenny White, because these clubs are not open. They're not happening right now. But that's what I do at least 3 or 4 times a year, mostly 4. And I had to put a lot of it on hold this year because of the virus. But come the spring, we're going to go full force again. Hopefully by then this should all be ended. Okay, so, you know, that's what I do with the turnarounds. And it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of exercising. And believe me, it's hard work. But the one thing that you need to remember, yeah, you're going to work hard and you're going to have a lot of patience. You got to do things slow. You got to analyze yourself. What's good is to really film yourself when you practice. And you be your worst, not enemy, but critic. And criticize yourself. Oh, I shouldn't do that. Nah, let me work on that. Oh, that's what I did wrong. And it helps out, modern technology. When I was happening, you know, was learning how, I would practice in front of a mirror. And that was, that Joe Morello turned me on to that. Joe Morello, man, when I first went to him, I go into his studio, there's 2 drum pads, and behind the drum pad is the drum set he recorded take 5 on. And in front of the drum pad on the wall rather, there was a mirror from wall to wall and almost opens up to the ceiling, a total mirror. And you would watch your hands do the levels. And you would see, you do this, and you would see what you're doing. That's, you know, we didn't have, back then we had video cameras, but they were the VHS and, you know, all that good stuff. That was insane. Today it's so easy. You go buy a camera, you put the video card in there, you upload it to YouTube, or you take it to a store, and what they do is upload things for you and put it onto something else. But it's great. Now, anyway, that's where, you know, the stick control book is, like I continually say, is the Bible. Now, what I want to do is, maybe I have time for maybe one more thing. Any requests, by the way? Swing, 3/4. By the way, Jason Gianni will be here Sunday, November oh Jesus. Okay, in the 60s I started. I think it was either 68 or 69. Something like that. Bill, did you study with Joe as well? I get a lot of guys, yeah, I had a couple lessons with Joe Morello, I studied with him, and you find out they had 2 lessons and they quit. Joe Morello wasn't a tough teacher. He was just a perfectionist. See, either you knew it or you didn't. Simple. Bill, did you study with Joe? Okay, any requests? I'm listening. No requests. See, I studied with Joe on and off for maybe 30 years. I had just come out of the United States Army Band, and I was studying with a local drum teacher. He was supposed to be from New York. He worked at the Adler building, but he moved locally, and I was working at the store teaching. And he had the Adler system. He had me doing the Adler system, squeezing the drumstick, pinching the drumstick. What is that? You said? Fred? Anyway, then I went to see Joe. I went to see one of Joe's students. His name was Carl Wolf. Carl Wolf was in Bloomfield, New Jersey. He studied with Joe Morello. And I had about 2 lessons with him, because on the second lesson he goes, "What the hell you want with me?" So he referred me to Joe. I went to Joe, and it was a relationship from there on for 30 years, 40 years, until just recently he passed on. But I would go with him, stay for 6 months and stop for 3 months because I was on the road with a band. And I come back, did 4 or 5 weeks, and then on the road again with the band, and so on and so forth. And that continued for 30 years, on and off. And it was a trip with that guy, man. He was a great, he was a sweet man. He was patient, and he was explicit in his definitions and his explanations. He has, as far as I'm concerned, drumming-wise, he was the best thing that ever happened to me. And I think he was the best thing that ever happened to the drum community, to be honest with you. I mean, there's so many guys out there that are bullshitters, and it's pathetic. It makes me sick. And I have to say, I'm the type of guy that has to say something about it. I have guys call me, "What'd you say that for?" It's the truth. You know, it's either you're doing it right or you're doing it wrong. And there is a right and a wrong way when it comes to technique. Not playing. When you're sitting and you're playing a tune, there is no right and there is no wrong as long as you maintain the parameters and have the conversation with the music and the band. Technique, yeah, man, there is a right and there is a wrong. You don't squeeze a drumstick. You don't pound the drum. You use a natural approach, and that's what the level system is for. I mean, it was so, former student of Joe's, Jeffrey Johnson, who's going to do a show here, is the author of the book, The Level System. Okay? And he did a great job with that book. And I've met a lot of people through Joe when they were at the studio, and I lost contact with him, and then Facebook came into view, and all of a sudden, "Yay, Matt, where you been? How you doing?" And I met some great guys here. The one guy that helped me with the social media, because I'm the type of guy that says, "Hey, you're full of shit. I'm not diplomatic at all." And I just say it the way it is, and that's the way I was brought up. And he helped me out with that. And plus, the guy has a great set of hands. He's a scientist as well as a great drummer. And he was Bob Fosse's drummer with Jesus Christ Superstar, Pimpin', Dancing. And he was here. You probably know who he is, Alan Herman. And then we had Mike Clark sitting here. Man, you know, don't get any better than that. What is this? Okay, that's a good question, Fred. And that's, you know, what happens with that is, first off, you know, you've been playing, you know how to play with a band, you know how to play the music, but you're having some issues right now, okay? And they're common, because when you first learn and you develop bad habits, it's caught up to you. Now, I used to squeeze the drumstick, to be honest with you. There's instructors out there who say, "You got to squeeze that drumstick," you know, and you squeeze it, you develop a muscle here. Well, that's bullshit. That don't work. That creates a problem. First off, you have to have the stick sound. First of all, when you play the drums, you're playing with your hands. The stick is an extension of your hands. Now, I have to allow that stick to do what it's supposed to do. If I prevent the stick from doing what it's supposed to do, I'm going to have a problem. First off, I am totally relaxed when I play. It's because I've been playing a long period of time, and I'm sure of myself. And that's where being tense comes in. You know, you're not sure of yourself, you get all nervous and tighten up and blah, 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 blah. But that's another issue. Let's talk about when you stroke. You know, a lot of guys, when they stroke, now watch me stroke with this right hand. My hand, first off, is very loose. I hold the stick tight enough so I have control of it, but loose enough so when it makes impact on the drum, the sound or the vibration of the stick goes outward. If I hold it tight and hit the drum, the vibration is going to go upward. And that's going to create a problem. Carpal tunnel syndrome, tendonitis, and pain. So you have to allow the stick to do what you want it to do. That's loose. I mean, I can't, you know, I have to grip the stick, but so it's more of a personal thing how tight I grab the stick. I have control of it here, yet it's loose. Now, I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to hit the stick loosely, and the stick's going to come right back. That's one sound. Now, I'm going to do the same thing, but I'm going to grab the stick tight on impact. When I grabbed it tight on impact, what happened, all right, my muscles tightened up, and the sound didn't project out right. It did sound, but not correctly, and the vibration went up my arm. Watch. That's loose. You know, you hear some drum teacher say, no pain, no gain. Total bullshit. That's a sport. You know, you want to do 100 push-ups, you want to hit 120 for the next time, yeah, you're pushing yourself hard. That you might hurt yourself. It's the same scenario. When I hit the drum, it's loose. And then the seesaw method, which comes from Henry Adler, and there's an illusion here. When I'm playing single strokes, for example, what it looks like is I'm going like this. But I'm not. When I do this, I have to lift the stick. I don't have time to lift the stick. I follow the stick when I do singles. If I play an 8th note vamp, I'm not lifting the stick, I'm not bouncing a ball. Now I'm going to do a left hand vamp. Now I'm going to put them together, but when I put them together, if I'm thinking 16ths, the E and the Da are with the left hand, but I'm doing the same thing. Watch, I'm going to open my hands up. I don't know if you can see that. What's this? Some say you should squeeze for the accent. I had a teacher who taught that. I don't do that. He was pretty good drummer. You studied with Gary Chester. I don't know if Gary Chester, I mean, I have a few friends who studied with Gary Chester. Carl Latham, John Berger. And it's not squeezing a drumstick. You squeeze a drumstick, it's totally wrong. Ask the teacher for your money back and run away. You do not squeeze a drumstick. That's like, example, I'm talking to you, and now somebody comes up and puts their hands on my throat and squeezes my throat. Now I can't get the voice out because I'm squeezing. And there's a muscle. If somebody said that Gary Chester taught that, he's full of shit. It's not this. It's not squeeze or pinch the accent. I had a guy, his name was Charlie Tappan. That's the guy I first studied with when I got out of the service. And for example, let me demonstrate to you what I taught. Now, first off, when you go study with this guy Charlie Tappan, God bless his soul, he was the sweetest man in the world, and he did teach me to read well. But his hand technique, man, there was a lot to be desired. He comes from the Adler school. Does everybody know I'm not using my fingers, Freddie. I house the stick with my fingers. I mean, if I use my fingers here, I'm using the fingers with my right hand, and I'm using my fulcrum with my left. But I'm going with the rebound. No, Gary would never teach that because that's incorrect. That is tension. Okay? Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, I studied with this guy. His name was Charlie Tappan. Nice guy. And he came from the Adler School. His whole scenario was he used to live in New York, and his son was taking lessons from Henry Adler. And because of the fact of the Buddy Rich book, and Henry Adler's name was on it, right? He had a great reputation, and everybody studied with him. So there's only so much time in the day, and he had an overflow of students. And Charlie Tappan, to pay for his son's drum lessons, would take the overflow. He was always one step ahead of his students. Okay, and Henry Adler used to teach the alternating, holding the sticks tight, and pinching the accent. If anybody has the Buddy Rich book, the very first lesson, it's called a three-stroke rough. Now it's called a single three, but it's a three-stroke rough, and it's, the sticking pattern is right, left, right, left. This is how I was taught. At first, I was taught to arch my stick this way from this man. And I'm starting here. And I was going 1, 2. Now when I hit the 3, I squeezed the accent. That's what I was taught. That is totally off the wall, totally incorrect. The 4-stroke rough, for example. He was teaching this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, squeeze, 5, 6. That's off the wall. Anybody teaches that shit, run away from them. They're all full of shit. And that's where that seesaw, the seesaw comes, like I said, the seesaw is an illusion. Look, if you took a video of this, I'm going to play a couple singles. Now, if you took that slow motion, you'd see this. That's what you would see. I'm relaxed. I'm letting the stick do what it's supposed to do. On impact, it comes back in position to hit again. There's no tension, nothing. That's what happens. Just totally relaxed. Okay? What is that? Billy Gladstone. Well, Billy Gladstone, Joe Morello did study with him for a couple lessons, and he had the finger technique. Now you have to understand, Billy Gladstone was a classically trained musician, and you know he played the snare drum for symphonic orchestras, and the timpanis, and the marimbas, and the xylophones. Okay, and there's a certain touch you need when you play symphonic. You know, you're not doing single strokes like this, unless the dynamics call for that. So you have a nice little touch. Billy Gladstone was a great performer in his own life, in his own world. You take somebody like Morello, you take somebody like Buddy Rich. Buddy Rich, man, he wasn't squeezing. I mean, I talked to Buddy Rich about this. The first time ever I went to see Buddy Rich was in North Brunswick, New Jersey, which is about 10 miles from my house right now. I had just gotten out of the Army, and I was studying with Charlie Tappan, like I just said. And he was doing a 2 sets at the Holiday Inn with his band. And he come off, and I went over to talk to him for a bit. And I was talking technique. he, like, really enjoyed that, and he put his arm around, my shoulder, and we walked into his dressing room with all his associates, and we started doing different things. And I talked to him about squeezing. What is this? And we talked about squeezing. He laughed. You don't squeeze the drumstick. What's that, Robert? No. No, Moeller's ridiculous. That's, all right, don't worry about it. But anyway, and he explained, he never squeezes a drumstick. I mean, there's certain effects. I'm using a different tension on my snare to get certain effects. It's a lot of fun. It is all about physics. You're absolutely correct, Bob. We talked about that. Think about it. For every action, there's an opposite reaction. All right, let me demonstrate the power. Do Bill and Fred and all you other guys, do you understand the level system? Oh, man, this is a late lesson tonight. I'm going to upload this to YouTube, by the way, gentlemen. And what you should do, subscribe to my channel, and you get to see the videos I have there. Plus, on Tuesdays, Wednesday, and Thursday, at 1 p.m., I stream on YouTube live. And then Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday on my site. And I'm trying something new this week. I want to see how it works and how it catches up. Is Monday and Friday, 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. in the reading room. Do you guys know how to get into the reading room? What I'll do after the lesson is I'll put the link to the reading room. Become a member if you want to attend on Mondays and Fridays. And like I said before, Facebook, when I go live on Facebook, it will take me here. But now, where it says on the bottom there, share, I could share and go into the reading room. And there I could explain what I'm doing. You could comment. You come up here. How do you get into the reading room, John? How about if I send you the link? You're already a member of the reading room, aren't you? So I share this and I go into the reading room. So you'll see this in the reading room. And I could talk to you. But if you're going to ask me questions out here, it ain't going to happen. Because I can't respond. I only can respond in the reading room, unless I'm doing something incorrect. John, if you need the link to the reading room, you're already a member. I'll send you the link. Fred, is that Freddie? Freddie, how is your reading skills? And all right, let me talk about the stick control book a little bit, and then I'm going to leave. What I do, let me turn the metronome on. Let me go to 150. That's a decent pay. I'm going to go to 150. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple lines of the stick control book. Well, everybody, see the object, number one, Fred, about the reading room. Yeah, there's all kinds of drummers with all kinds of levels. Now, there's guys that can read really well, and I'm inviting them. All right? That's just to revisit their reading skills, or to see how I approach teaching reading. That's a good thing, I guess. And then you have guys who never read before, don't know what a half note is, don't know how to use a metronome, don't know what a double bar line is, or how to determine what a time signature, the definition of a time signature, or dynamics. and it always helps to refresh yourself. Now we all know, we all have, I gotta do something about this, man. It's too tight here. We all definitely have the stick control book. Everybody have the stick control book? Yes, no? We all know page 5. You know, what I'm going to do half strokes. Now there's a few ways to do this. I like to do it this way. I play the line in eighth notes. And then after I finish the line, whatever hand I end with, I'm going to vamp. I'm going to play eighth notes with that particular hand for 4 measures. Go right back into the next line. So here's the vamp. 1. Here we'll do line 1. Start with line 1. You know, if you can't hear the metronome, that's a good thing. If you don't hear the metronome, that means I'm right on it. But that's just the way I do stick control, the way I was taught. Like for example, line 5. The object is to make the right hand and the left hand sound the same. Like if you were in the next room listening to me practicing that, you should not be able to tell which line I'm on. And it's all relaxed. Got it? If you do that every day, right now I'm exhausted, I'm tired. I've been in this studio since 6 o'clock this morning. And plus William is going to call me as soon as it's 8 o'clock right now, William. Can you call me at 8:15? I need to get a cigarette first. And don't forget, I'm going to put the link to the reading room on here. You have to join the reading room to get it. Get in. Once you're in, then we'll do the lesson. Now, we'll start probably from the syncopation book or any kind of reading book. If you want, I want to see the attendance. The attendance, if I get the attendance the way I want it, I will put up some PDFs. I will email them to everybody. Okay, Bob, have a good one. Everybody have a good night. Take care.